Don't bother now. Won't have to worry about it.
Sunfire CRM-2s. Owner brought them here. He showed me what he said. I got these, and I looked them up, and I'm like, oh, those look cool. And they brought them here, and he said how much he paid for them, and I went, you did what? $900 for the pair. $900 for the pair. And they consist of, there's a cover here. Let's look at one covered. Covered, cover, cover, uncovered, uncovered, new even. 6-inch ribbon tweeter. And if I had to give these speakers the shortest review on this channel, it would be, these are demo boxes for a 6-inch ribbon tweeter. The end. Because a real speaker, a full-size speaker that is supposed to produce a range of sounds, will produce down to like 45, 50, 60 hertz. These are at 95. Because the side drivers, which they claim are 4.5 and are actually 4, stop at 95 hertz. And then there's a switch right here by the terminals. You can cut it off even more. But you see, the point of these speakers is they're for rear channel use. Which if you're spending $900 on a set of speakers for rear channel use, there's a doctor you need to see. He looks at your brain. They have quirks. Oh my God, do they have quirks. First quirk, each speaker weighs 9 pounds, which is like bowling ball weight. Like that hurts to do, just to hold it out at arm's length. To weigh 9 pounds, the structure of this box needs to be literally just thick wood, heavy magnets, magnets. There's no air in it. You could probably drop this to the bottom of the Marianas Trench and it wouldn't even implode because there's no air left. Now when there's no air, that means there's no way to make low end. There was no low end. So I'm gonna put this back on. I didn't stop it, I lowered it. Want it to be even less low end?
Cause there's something about you. Because there's something about you. It's the color of blue.
Yeah, I had to put the earthquake sub up on the desk. Let me tell you the story. Guy brought these over. We put them in my living room. I usually review speakers in my living room now. That's where they go. But these speakers, unless you're setting them for rear channels, which you are high as shit if you spend $900 on rear channels, that aren't even like bipole speakers where there's like two faces and they're shooting sound one way and they're shooting sound the other way, is to make it sound like it's lost. It's just sort of be like when the sound happens behind you, it just happens in a big swath. And my speakers are not that. They're precision, but they're 6.5s and they get loud. This is what I want. I want you to go vroom. These in the rear, of course I obviously put them there for a little while, are like needles. This tweeter projects in a pretty good width, but absolutely no verticality to it. We did a test, the owner and I, so I'm not surprising him with this little realization. We put these on my speaker stands all the way in the front of the room, went to the back of the room, and we started doing squats where you get down real low and stand up. And there was only about a 12 to 14 inch space, a dozen feet away, where the tweeter didn't sound weird. Down here, weird. Up here, weird. Here, perfect. So it was under that, I tried to blend it in with subwoofers and try to make it a full speaker, and it just, let me give you the one good point. Best tweeters. Some of the best tweeters I've ever heard. The original Martin Logans I reviewed, I forget what the damn model number was, but those little fucking those folded ribbons were amazing. These are better. These are smoother. These are just boxes to demonstrate how good a tweeter can be. If they didn't have any side speakers and they were just like, it's just an add-on module for speakers, you disable your tweeter, you pop this on top, use like that, I'd be okay with them. Still wouldn't be okay with them at $900 a pair, which by the way, Amazon has $1,100 each, because I don't know. I don't think they're for sale, like actively. They're still on the site. They're still on Sunfire's site. Sunfire on Amazon. Oh, we'll get to the finish in a second because that's lying. Liar! I hate Sunfire's site, by the way. It's just crap. CM2s. Oh, yes. Tell me all about you and how you are, you know, duo is a pair of side firing 115 decibels from the smallest cabinet in their class. And they get loud, although this 8 ohm 50 watt per channel A100 does break up a bit when you get real up there, and it's not the speaker's fault because the power handling on these speakers. Can anyone want to take a stab? Anyone want to stab these speakers? Stab me in these speakers? Power handling, because you know you get a speaker and it says, people get confused a lot of time. The power handling on the back is not what you have to give it. It's what it can be given. And most speakers, it's like 10 watts to 150 watts. And that's, you know, people ask me if they need a 150 watt amp for that speaker. You don't. You could use a 10 watt amp or a 15 watt amp or a 30 watt, any of those things. The only reason you'd ever give it that maximum power is if you're going for the absolute end game of the speakers where they're about to explode. Power handling on these speakers is 25 watts to 400 watts. 400 watts per channel you'd need. They're 90 decibel sensitivity, so they should get loud without that, but I'm going to tell you right now, I was pushing them, and most of the amps I was just running out of the ability to push them. So then I hooked a new crown, and the crown I'm finally able to push them, but you know what? It didn't help anything but make it like hurtfully loud. Painfully loud. I don't need painfully loud speakers with no, not even just bass. One of the reviews on Amazon was like, it has such a full sound. Full. I know what a full sound is, and that is not happening here. With the subwoofer involved, you get a more full sound where it's trying to reach the octaves, you know, where like the human, I believe this will reproduce everything the human voice will. Anything below that, no. Now they're on this desk because they actually do work better here. Up close, I'm sitting 1.5 feet from a 6 inch. I got 12 full inches. I'm lying. I got 12 inches of tweeter right here. And it doesn't hurt to listen to. It's actually pleasant.
Green.
We'll leave that subwoofer on because I just can't on their own. And I would like to have them up, but remember that thing where I said, you know, they cancel out and if it's too high, too low. So I'd have to have this speaker up literally at my eye level, which would equate to foam blocks vertical and then another foam block on top of it. And these things weigh 9 pounds, and that's like a tower of fail that I'm not willing to risk. Because if I do that to the table, it's just gonna go, and it's gonna break something else. These probably won't break, but it'll just smash something else, hard drives or, you know, onto the floor and go downstairs. I can't get over how heavy these are. I keep every time someone shows up here, I hand it to them, and we'll get to why that's cool in a second. So anyway, actually that's not cool. I'm not gonna get to that at all. But on a desk, on the foam angles, I'm looking down now. The sound is coming from in front of me, down there, back of this amp. Gotta remember I'm not doing that.
The ravens all are closing in. There's nowhere you can hide. Your manager.
There's so much detail on the highs. It's all the detail. It's all the detail. All the speakers that I've ever reviewed and I've said, oh man, the highs really show all the detail. This is 15% more than the best one of those ever. But that's it. The sideways firing is queer in the natural use of that word, not the obligatory word. Because you're shooting midtones in and out, and depending on what's to the left and right of you, in other words, if you're in the switch in the back is to cut off the low end so that it reduces what comes out of the actual 4.5s, which would help. Because if you're in a corner with one of them, it's going to be way louder than if one is just sitting in the open shooting nowhere. Because there's nothing firing at you. The owner and I actually ended up shoving one in the corner of the living room and then getting cutting boards and trying to make like a 45 big Dumbo ears to try to shape this sound towards you. We were trying to fix the engineering that Sunfire was doing, and that's a stupid thing to try to do. But we tried anyway, because we're just like, it's got to be some more we can get out of these. Because I'm turning it up, and I don't hear any of the mid-bass. A lot of tweeters are coming out, and it sounds great. Tweeter sounds great. Tweeter sounds great. Tweeter sounds great 2017. That's all this is. That's a terrible recorded song. Like there, that.
You know, kiddies, I think this is going to be the best holiday season ever. And you know what will make it even more special?
It's the like I'm hearing these. I'm not hearing these at all. There's a bit of a soundstage here, and then there's just the most detail you've ever heard in your music right in front of you, way back here. And it's sensitive to this, sensitive to moving left and right. But oh my God, detail. It's not worth the money though. If you have to sit this close and use a subwoofer, then just get headphones at that point. Get some stacks, and the electrostatics will give you this. Electrostatics will give you this sort of detail. Richard Cheese. Oh, I know what we need to play. Now they're too close together, because I'm hearing that until I know that the song Bubbles, he's got things dropping left and right, and because I'm so close, they're all happening here still. They need to happen further out, which would involve me putting these further out on stands up here, pointing at your face. But there are better speakers for that job too. JBL LSR 305s will do 90%. They'll do 150% more below the tweeter, and probably 88% as much as this tweeter's really good. And I can't even like, oh, what about the $300 pair of those? No, this giant ribbon will. Talking about Atom monitors, people want me to look at the Atoms, and the Atoms and the Emotivas both have ribbon tweeters that you could look at, or AMTs, if they're considered. I like these speakers because they're quirky. I like quirky things, and this is a quirky-ass speaker. The problem is, it's not a quirky-ass $250 for a pair, and you could play around with it, and I could say that the Canto Bends were $60, and they were all highs, and they had the little bright, but once you straightened it out, the imaging was spectacular, and you could have a subwoofer. That's fine. You're going to pay $900 to $2,200 for a pair of these. They should work somewhere better. They should work somewhere better than any other speaker. And as a rear channel, they don't work better than any other speaker. They've got the mounts, so they got mounts. So you can put them, but then you're left with very, very limited verticals. You can't just put these up. And if you put them up pointing down, you know exactly where the fuck that speaker is. It's right there, and it's not what you wanted of a rear channel. You want a rear channel to get lost. Part of that is the tweeters, or at least double tweeters, and where you reverse the phase and it's just lost. And you can't lose these. You know exactly where these are. These might as well be a flashlight. So they don't work as rear channels. Here on a desk, while I'm enjoying the just quality of the tweeter, the imaging is it doesn't get wide enough. It's doing something that's keeping it narrow. So it sounds clear, but it's not. It should be expanding my mind like I've taken 6 pounds of shrooms. It's not doing that. Does it work for a front channel when you add in a sub? No, because again, the verticality, and it's not enough side woofer to deal with anything but I'm on a desk and it's not enough side woofer. So as soon as you back up and make the room bigger, you've lost. You've lost the game. The game's over. So these don't work anywhere. They don't work anywhere. You gave me these for free, and I was able to put them where these would end up in a closet, because what am I going to do with them? I can't think of the use. The only thing I could think of would be to disconnect the 4.5s and just sit this on top of a speaker that has a shitty tweeter, disable that tweeter, or let me say this, not just shitty, any speaker with any tweeter. The clips up there I love. Let's disable that tweeter and just pop this on top, make it an add-on unit that now these tweeters are involved. Then you'd still have to deal with the limited vertical use, but then it has a purpose. I can't make them work as speakers on their own. They don't do. You need a sub to make them do. And if you put them in a big room, you need a big sub that can actually handle up to like 100 hertz without being locatable. And once you have 100 hertz going, you know exactly where your subwoofers are. So you can't use a home theater sub that's placed far on the right. You'll just hear that thing making vocal noises. They're a tough sell. They're a tough sell. They got a good name. Oh, they're supposed to be rosewood, lacquered rosewood. They also come in black. And I'm like, oh, you got the black ones. And you look, and it's like, wait a second. Come on, Dreadlight. Come on, Dreadlight. There is, underneath the smudges and smears, there is wood grain there. It's just, the lacquer is so dark that I can hardly tell if there's anything there. It's the whole front. The ones on Amazon, the pictures they have on Amazon, if that's what they're supposed to look like, then this pair might have something wrong with it. Because look at that. That's got actual like vertical lines you could see without injecting the sun's light into it. 40,000 lumens to make the wood grain appear. It's just the littlest bit there. So Sunfire, if you're interested in sending me something that isn't this, because they make center versions of this, center channel versions, but it's also just those drivers pointed forward, and guess what the frequency response is according to the website? 95 is the lowest. Now granted, in a home theater you're supposed to offload a lot of the low end to a subwoofer, but not all of it. Not fucking 100 hertz. In the rears you might get away with it. I have my rears set to 80 hertz. I have the Mica MB42Xs and the Sound Appeal 6.5 inch on the sides. Super cheap. They get loud enough. They image properly. For, just rears, they work great. Center channel? Center channel, you want to at least do 60 to 80. At least 60 to 80. 95 might as well be 100. And once it's 100, it's like, why bother? Now the subwoofer's got to start talking to you. Alright. These speakers are done. I mean, they're well made. They're 9 pounds of just kill you. And if I had to get, I just can't think of enough good points to say, okay, these speakers are worth anything they're worth. They're not. Just because, Sunfire makes them and Sunfire is associated with Bob Carver and Bob Carver does amps. I can hook up the phase linear to this and there'll be somehow Bob Carver little symmetry going on. I'm going to use them for the next 20 minutes, half hour. I'm going to play with the subwoofer settings some more, see if I can cross over. Maybe even move this subwoofer, because I have to put this subwoofer so high to compensate that I can tell it's there. If I drop the subwoofer right in the middle, right where I'm hearing the imaging, then I might be able to do it and adjust the phase. It's too much work for what these cost. Headphones. Speakers like this should just work. They should just work. And these are way too drama queen for me, man. They're just sequentially. It's there. Cortana, order me new speakers.